Trump's latest executive order establishes an American Technology Council. Samsung wants to sell self-driving technology too. Your Tinder profile might be used in a giant AI database, and a group of hackers need a little lesson on how Netflix works. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1758, recorded Monday, May 1st, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one who has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT.
And by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter promo code TNT to receive a free Tracker Bravo with any purchase.
Welcome to Tech News Today. We are also called TNT, which stands for Tech News Today.
Boom!
I'm Megan Maroney.
I'm Jason Howell. That's also why we're called TNT, because we put the boom in tech news.
So true.
Because that's what they say anyways.
Let's put the boom in.
Now.
In a newly signed executive order, President Donald Trump says he plans to establish an American Technology Council. The order says the federal government must transform and modernize its information technology and how it uses and delivers digital service. But it wasn't as clear as how he planned to implement it. Axios first reported that the new council, backed by presidential son-in-law Jared Kushner, the mission is to combine government efforts with private sector ideas to solve long-term problems. Also not exactly sure how we're going to solve all those long-term problems. 20 CEOs are going to spend half a day meeting to discuss. The president will serve as chairman of the Tech Council. The Vice President, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Homeland Security, and others will also serve. And Recode also reminds us that Trump has yet to nominate anyone to a number of key federal science and technology posts.
That's a big challenge right there, right? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the executive order is super vague at this point, and then on top of that, you have kind of the combination of that along with those unfilled seats. It's interesting to me that kind of the effort here is modernizing, I'm putting in air quotes now, modernizing government IT, which in some ways seems to go counter to what we've seen so far in the Trump administration as far as how the White House is dealing with data and the sites that serve that data. The White House removed open data and open government from the web. The CIO and the Chief Digital Officer are two roles that would oversee that effort and a whole lot more. And those are two roles that are, at least at the moment, unfilled. So we'll see how this develops as far as that's concerned. If it actually improves the Trump administration's abilities to, I don't know, to modernize and to bring it up to date.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to meet with, of course, he met with all those CEOs. We've seen all the photos. Sheryl Sandberg, Jeff Bezos, I guess, yeah, the Uber CEO, Travis Kalanick, I think he was there, maybe.
Tim Cook.
Yeah, Tim Cook.
Yep.
All the big people and important people who are slowly, seem to be excited in the beginning, seem to be giving Trump the benefit of the doubt, but are more and more disappointed in a lot of the things that he's done. So I think it will be difficult to really rally them in support of this American Technology. What was it called? Commission? Council. American Technology Council. So, but yeah. One can hope always.
Yeah, and I mean, Kalanick, for example, he kind of came under fire a few months ago because he was originally he had agreed to be part of one of Trump's business advisory councils. And ultimately, I think this is when all the stuff at Uber started to kind of crumble and fall down, and now we're like a million of those, those parts that have crumbled and fallen down at this point. But this was near the beginning of that, and that was interpreted as, let's say, support for the Trump administration in the minds of a lot of people in Silicon Valley and beyond. And so Kalanick has actually, at least Uber anyways, has confirmed to CNN that Travis Kalanick will not be attending in this meeting. So he for one will not be there. I'll be very curious to kind of see the reaction from those who did attend last December, because like you say, I think they went into that meeting going, well, you don't turn down a meeting like this, and if there's a potential for having a positive influence for technology and for Silicon Valley, being there is better than not being there. But then I think a lot of them, in some ways took a lot of heat after the fact. And so, yeah, who knows? But I guess we'll see where that goes. We don't have to wait too long to find that out. Twitter struck a deal with Bloomberg to put together a new service that will bring original news to Twitter, streamed 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. The new online channel is scheduled to launch sometime this fall, with completely original content brought in from Bloomberg's many bureaus around the globe. Also mixed in there will be curated video content from Twitter users. So this is not repurposed content. Bloomberg, of course, has their own TV kind of live video operation covering news, on their site and beyond. This is not repurposed content from that. This is a partnership. Twitter says Bloomberg's the perfect partner to, quote, start with in reaching cord cutters and cord nevers. So this is only the beginning. Apparently they have plans for multiple channels, or would it be having more content from different providers mixed into the same channel? I don't know, but that'll happen soon.
I've never heard that term, cord nevers.
People who've just never had,
Yeah, now I thought I was all young and hip by being a cord cutter, but now I wish I were a cord never.
I know. No, we missed that age. Yeah.
So, yeah, cord nevers used to just be called Luddites back in our day, I guess.
Sure.
Bloomberg Media CEO Justin Smith said they'll focus on the most important news for an intelligent audience around the globe. So, I mean, it's not just tech news, or it's not just, political news, or,
financial. Bloomberg does a lot of financial coverage.
Financial news. That wasn't exactly clear. I do think that it would be interesting to see Twitter evolve into some sort of modern day TV network.
Okay,
I mean, they've got the, it's like that. That's what I feel that it is now. I mean, we talk about how, that, 24-hour news cycle. Like, that's what I feel like Twitter is. It's just like scrolling, and you're, constantly changing the channels. But but it's that you get to pick your channels, in a way. So I think it's exciting. I mean, people have watched football on Twitter. I certainly watched a lot. I watched some of the debates. I watched election night footage on Twitter. I like Twitter, so if they can make it work, make a business model work, it's fine if it's TV.
Bloomberg was actually Twitter's partner for the presidential debates. So they have an existing relationship in this capacity, and they're really ramping up their video programming. So this kind of makes sense. 800 hours of video programming in the first quarter of this year compared to 600 hours in the fourth quarter of last year. And so this is only going to bring that up. And apparently it'll be the first continuous feed for Twitter.
And, we make light of
video feed.
The verified user issue with Twitter, like, oh, why aren't I verified? And it's often been, if you're a journalist, you're verified, and we don't really know. But these videos that you said they're going to be mixing in are just from verified users. So now it kind of makes sense because every network is really there's so much information, and they really depending on crowdsourcing that information is key. But then there's the idea of fake news, and Google deals with it, and Facebook deals with it. And if Twitter has only these videos from verified users, that is one way to say, like, hey, these are verified. And we know that verified users on Twitter are not verified by an algorithm. Like, there's actually a person.
But how exactly are they verified?
Yes.
And I completely understand what you're saying. I don't know if that necessarily eliminates the possibility that, some sort of, let's say, false or fake news could end up, on a stream from someone who is verified. But that certainly heightens Twitter's ability to kind of control what ends up on this quote unquote network.
Right. Which is the problem we had to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Like that there were these gatekeepers,
Right.
the elite that were the ones that decided. So yes, maybe they might be dealing with fake news, but they're going back to the same problem, which is where are we getting this news from? Like, who are these verified users? Are they only like a certain type of person? Like, that's part of what the beauty of the web is. Everyone's voice can be heard. And as we know, like that's very problematic. But so we'll have to see what it sounds like. Samsung is getting into the self-driving car business. According to The Verge, the South Korean giant is testing its driverless car tech in Hyundais. I know I always pronounce that word. Hyundais. Let's call it Hyundais. Apple and perhaps Google, Samsung isn't expected to build its own cars, just the autonomous tech inside them. Hyundai itself got permits a year ago to test their self-driving car systems, and since then, regulations have been loosened a bit. Now you only need one test driver in the car at all times in South Korea. They used to require two. So of course, loosening the regulations is going to help them keep pace with Google, Waymo, and other companies, Uber, other big companies in the United States and elsewhere that are working on self-driving car technology. And Samsung has gotten approval from South Korea's ministry, so that is good news for them. They have approved over 20 self-driving car permits. That's how many they've given so far.
All right. I'm not surprised at all. Like that Samsung would get into this, right? Like everybody, all of these major technology companies are, I mean, especially when you consider Apple's working on a similar thing. Samsung and Apple, for, however you want to spin it, they are constantly thinking similarly, whether it be direct, lifting of ideas from one another, or whether it just be what companies that size and with that kind of wide-reaching goal do at that point. So I'm not surprised at all that Samsung would get into this. Samsung considers themselves a hardware company, yes, but they also consider themselves very strong in software. And that's really what a large part of what this is about. It's about creating software for autonomous vehicles and, bringing TouchWiz as far as it could go. Let's just hope it doesn't crash.
Yes.
Because the UI is prone to crashing sometimes. You don't want that when you're in a car. I'm just going to say that.
And we could also make all the Samsung Note 7 on fire.
Yeah, don't want their electric battery to blow up. Okay, what are the other obvious ones? Washing machines, clothes washers, dryers. And it falls apart when you get into an accident. It just like falls into pieces.
Insert all of those jokes here.
All right, cool. We did that. Amazon announced over the weekend that it would be discontinuing its Underground Actually Free program in 2019. That's next year, after first debuting the program back in 2015 as a way to incentivize consumers to purchase Amazon's own Fire line of mobile devices, mainly tablets. The program allowed developers to offer completely free versions of their paid apps and games within Amazon, and Amazon would foot the bill and pay developers royalties based on the frequency at which those apps were used by its customers. Participating developers will receive those royalty payments. They'll continue to receive those until the program ceases in 2019. Amazon didn't really give a reason as far as why it's shutting this down. I remember when it released in 2015, Amazon was very firm on the fact that this was not a short-term promotional project. This is a long-term long-term project to just bring value, to their service. And I think encourage, because in the world of Android, it's Google, or it's Google with its official Play Store, and then it's everybody else, at least here in the US, everybody else trying to convince people why they should use it. The main alternative player is Amazon, and that's a big steep hill to climb. So I think, that was their ambition. 4 years, is that long term enough, do you think?
I don't know. So
in tech, it kind of feels long, but
yeah. So the reason, I'd never heard of this program, but the reason they did it is that if you had, you could be in this program if you had a paid app that was either in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store or the Amazon Store. Like you had to have another app that was in the Amazon Store. That was the idea, was to get more people in the Amazon Store.
Yeah. Amazon running its own app store. So you had to publish, as a developer, you had to publish your app in their app store, and it could also be in other app stores, of course. So it could be in Play, Google Play, or I guess it could be on iOS, but that wouldn't operate, obviously.
Read that, yeah. And so the idea was to convince developers to create apps for the Amazon Fire devices. To make it something that developers could actually make money off of, like Amazon was actively paying developers.
like in some ways it's a tall question. It's a big question to ask of a developer to say, hey, I know your normal way of monetizing your app is that you sell these or you sell in-app purchases, and we're asking you to not do that. Instead, we're asking you to sign up for this program. We will offer to the people who are running this program your paid app completely free, including in-app purchases. And you will, instead of getting that upfront cost, you will get paid based on the amount of time that someone's actually using it. And so I always wondered, like, I would love to hear from developers that did this to know whether that was an equitable trade-off. You know, the amount of time that because I know for myself, when I download a lot of apps, there's really a core small group of apps that I use with any sort of constant regularity. Those apps would make somebody a lot of money if I was on this. But if it was anything else, like a game that maybe I paid $2 for and I play it a handful of times and then I forget about it, like, I imagine that wouldn't be a very good deal for someone in this realm,
right?
Paying per time spent.
So that's what I wonder, if they stopped it because people stopped developing when people stopped developing because it wasn't advantageous to them.
Providing for it. They say that it's going to March 31st, 2017 is the last day that developers can submit their apps for the program. So if you still want to get in on it, you've got a month to do that, and you can offer through it.
We've really sold it.
I know.
I think.
But I think part of that, for me anyways, part of that is just I don't actually know how developers really felt about this. If anyone is watching this, I would love to hear TNT at twit.tv. Let us know how you felt, whether it was an equitable trade-off. But if you want to get in, there you go. Summer 2017, sometime this summer, the Android app is going to be made unavailable for new devices, and then but still operate on the tablets and devices that it's already there on, including the free apps and everything. And then sometime, I think early next year, it's just going to go away entirely. So there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, do people, I would like to hear from people who regularly use Fire tablet apps. Like, do you have a Fire tablet?
I have a Fire tablet. I never use it. I have installed Amazon's App Store and Amazon Underground on my tablets. And
your Android tablets.
Yeah, my Android tablets, which you could do. You weren't required to have a Fire tablet. You would install, in which you have to sideload the official Amazon app from their website in order to get it, because you couldn't get it through, at least this particular app, you couldn't get it through the Play Store. So you had to jump through some hurdles, jump through some hoops in order to do that. So I've used it, but I didn't use it with any regularity, even though the appeal is actually pretty great. Free paid apps. That's actually a really, really cool idea. I don't know if it didn't take off. I don't know why it didn't. Maybe because it's Amazon and it's not the bigger player. I don't know.
Well, developer Stuart Caliani recently uploaded 40,000 Tinder profile pictures to Kaggle, a community of data scientists who share information in order to compete in machine learning competitions. This particular data cache of photos, which is now gone, was allegedly acquired by scraping the dating site Tinder, and it was intended to be used to create an artificial intelligence database. It was also labeled as photos of hoes. That's HOES. And I do not think he meant the garden implement, but I don't know. The code is still up at GitHub, and it's called Tinder Face Scraper. So just another reminder, think before you post anywhere. So this was not just photos of women. It was 20,000 photos of men and 20,000 photos of women, and no garden implements, as far as I know.
We didn't see any pictures of hoes, but actually, I didn't actually look at the photos.
You didn't look at the photos?
No, I didn't.
The photos are gone, but the GitHub, they're still, the repository is still up at GitHub.
Okay.
They're gone from
right.
Kaggle. Keep wanting to call it Kaggle, but I believe it's Kaggle. I won't do that. It's Caliani, the developer, said that Tinder offers an near unlimited access to create a facial data set, which is fascinating that it's so easy to scrape photos off of there. So I guess he removed it from Kaggle as by request of Tinder. Tinder asked him to. So just a crazy reminder of how easy it is for a developer or someone to just take all of the stuff that you've uploaded. You think about it like, oh, who cares? Like, I only have this many followers, or Tinder's a closed system. I just want to put my profile up there, and then for it to just be taken and put in a database to be used for artificial intelligence is a little terrifying.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also just the idea that anytime you're uploading an image to anything, no matter how closed or how open it is, like no matter what, when you get down to it, there's always the analog hole. I could take another phone and take a picture of anything that you've DRM'd or done through a service that's supposedly closed, and it's very easy to capture that and distribute that. So it's never truly safe in that regard. And also, just because something is open, let's say open access to these Tinder photos doesn't necessarily mean it's ethical. You know, there was a little bit of a tone-deaf quality to this where it was like, well, you know, the data was out there. It helped me. It was a really great data set to use to train this thing. And it's like, yeah, but you're missing the point.
Right.
Like the idea of why people are using a service like Tinder. I mean, it has a very intimate kind of aspect, intimate quality to that. And so the photos that are uploaded to a service like Tinder are uploaded there with a much different intent than like, hey, check out what I did last weekend, or I'm really excited to see this movie. You know, like they're intended to evoke a certain emotion based on the kind of what the app is all about, what the service is all about. Remove that from that context, and I don't know, it just seems very insensitive to just lump it into, yeah, but it's a really good data set.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone on Tinder wants that information being used in your data set.
That's true. Apparently, it's very popular to have your Tinder profile with a dog, like whether or not it's your dog. Did you? I mean, you probably didn't know that.
Yeah,
I would hope you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. But hey, pet owners probably identify with each other, right?
Yeah, like, or maybe with anybody. Oh, Burke wants to weigh in.
Very not cool AI. Scary.
Okay,
says
good
Burke.
to know.
Burke won't be using Tinder anytime soon. I don't actually know if Burke uses Tinder.
He doesn't want to go there. That's not, that's not
smart.
part of Burke Chat.
That's smart.
And you don't get to see the face he just made either, which is part of the beauty of Burke Chat as well. Just a quick reminder, anything that we discuss, you can comment on anything we discuss at TNT@twit.tv. We love to hear from you, of course. So the two of us try to respond, or, we sometimes take a while. So hopefully you'll keep tuning in if you don't hear your comment or question the next day. We have heard it. We try to respond as much. We do read everything between the two of us. We read every email that comes in. We don't get a chance to respond to all of those emails. And if you want to be the first person to get our show, you want to be the first one to listen, so you can be the first to respond, because sometimes the first to respond on a topic are the people that get that we read. Though that way, the way you can do that is to subscribe to the show. Then you'll be first. Subscribe anywhere that you get podcasts, audio or video, at twit.tv. And after the break, Facebook targets unhappy teens. Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica investigates. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage, the sponsor of this episode. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Getting a mortgage can be confusing, and sometimes it can feel like just a big waste of your time. Time is precious. And Quicken Loans throws technology at the problem, and they figured out a way to make it easy to get a mortgage so you can focus on the good stuff, like decorating your new home. And of course, when it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, it's important to work with someone who you can trust and who has your best interest in mind. With Rocket Mortgage, you'll get a transparent online process that gives you confidence to make an informed decision. So you don't have to waste time searching through stacks of paperwork. If you've ever gotten a mortgage, you know how long that can take. The process can take a really long time, and it doesn't have to. With Rocket Mortgage, you can securely share your financial information and then get a mortgage approval in just a few minutes. You can also adjust the rate and the length of your loan in real time to make sure that you get the mortgage solution that is right for you. We're all different. We have different needs. We're different ages, different earning possibilities, all those things. They take all that into account and really get the right mortgage for you. So whether you're looking to buy a home or refinance your existing mortgage, you can lift the burden of getting a home loan with Rocket Mortgage. Skip the bank, skip the waiting, and go completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support.
All right, Facebook has been known to be super interested in analyzing its users' emotions in the past, and a newly leaked document takes that one step further. Joining us on a Monday this time to discuss something not related to gaming or movies or other things is Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. How's it going, Sam?
Going well. Just going to enjoy my little Luigi coffee here.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's a really nice coffee mug.
It didn't taste. It didn't
Congratulations.
sound like there was really anything in there. Was there anything?
Is
in
there air in there?
There are some beans from Victrola Coffee in Seattle, Washington. I cannot emphasize enough that you should go there. But we're talking about something very different than that. We're talking about Facebook. What did Facebook do?
Yeah,
Hold on. Let me take a sip of coffee while you tell me. Hold on. Let's get a spit take. Come on.
Well, let's see here. You wrote about the 23-page document that was published by The Australian that goes into detail about how teens' emotions are being analyzed by Facebook and marketed to advertisers.
What? Sorry,
very
I was
good.
really excited about the taking.
Are you
Yes.
really that
Happy we
surprised?
got
Is
there.
it that surprising?
No, it's not very surprising. But to sum up what was just said, for anyone who did not catch this story, The Australian, a newspaper in Australia, got its hands on a giant document, 23 pages, that was prepared by Facebook executives this year and shown to advertisers. And the meat of the document is that it says to advertisers that Facebook understands, quote unquote, moments when young people need a confidence boost. That's an interesting message to present to advertisers. And it also talks about how Facebook's algorithm system understands emotional states of teenagers. Now, we're talking specifically people in the teen years from 14 and up who feel worthless, insecure, defeated, anxious, silly, useless, stupid, overwhelmed, stressed, or worse, feel like a failure. And so the argument that came up afterward when Facebook reached back out to me was they said that this was not specifically targeted, that instead that research was handled in the wrong way. But the facts that we have so far are the quotes from this report, which we still haven't seen the report. This is just what we were told by The Australian as a result of what it found. And Facebook not disputing that it exists, not disputing the words that were on it. Facebook is right now simply saying they dispute the idea that this was targeted. And that gets into some nitty-gritty semantics, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, Bleak in our chat room actually points out something very interesting. Bleak, of course, lives in Australia, and he says, some context, it's illegal to market in some ways to kids here. These documents seem to suggest that they're doing that. Facebook is contesting that theory, though, right? Are they providing any evidence or information that proves that this is merely informational and not actively being marketed against?
They don't really have to prove anything because because the way that it's quoted, it's a very interesting here's some information, advertisers, just shoved over to the other side of the table. And they don't have any sample, as I said in my original report, there were no sample advertising campaigns. There was nothing where they took Sally and said, Sally's feeling blue, so we're going to send her this stuff. But it did go into other sort of specific details that really don't leave much to the imagination. For example, Facebook could help advertisers target moments in which young users are interested in looking good and body confidence stuff, or working out and losing weight. Like, Facebook used those terms to describe the kind of state that someone using Facebook might be in. It also talked about how Facebook teenagers use the service differently between the week and the weekend. So during the week, teens like to post about anticipatory emotions and building confidence, and weekend posts are more about reflective emotions and achievement broadcasting. That's some pretty granular stuff to not only officially put into words, but also be like, this is for you, advertisers, and just for you. It's confidential. They did not repost this document. They did not, when they contested some of the ways it was described, did not decide to go, hey, public, check out this document with all of these weird emotionally specific things about teenagers using Facebook. Mm-hmm. So the other thing about ages is that the rules in Australia protect people who are 14 and younger, but in the United States, they protect people who are 13 and younger. So the fact that this whole document was about 14 and up makes me wonder how much of this was American. Now, Facebook officially said to The Australian that this had nothing to do with any other group or other nation inside of Facebook's headquarters. So we're only connecting dots there. But that age number and the fact that it lines up with United States more than Australia is curious to me.
Well, I think the idea of them specifically collecting this data based on words that we use and like the emotions that we click. It is disturbing, but in some way, like just this has been going on forever. Every acne medication, every promise to we'll clear your skin and you'll look beautiful, like that is all targeting all those emotions that you talked about. And yes, I mean, getting specific is probably more advantageous to them, but many of those adjectives are just general feelings that most teenagers have, and
I'm totally with you, but wouldn't it be creepy if your television showing those zit ads in the 90s kind of was able to clue in to the day of the week or clue into some of the other social stuff about whether you fit in or not and how you use things? Maybe you're more confident. Maybe you're more insecure in the way that you post, and it targets things specifically that way. That's what this seems to suggest in terms of having these sort of days of the week and range of emotions. Yes, you can have a generic ad that sort of targets these base things of I want to be popular, I want to look cool, these sort of youth-targeted advertising things that we have seen for decades. And we also know that Facebook has these sort of profiles of its users in terms of it's got ethnic profiles, ethnic affinity, that it can guess and then target things accordingly. There was a potential lawsuit about illegal discrimination in housing and financial ads. The idea that Facebook has this data and can use it in interesting ways. But I do think that the idea that Facebook's robots can auto-sort, auto-discover emotional feelings and then tell advertisers we have a way to really get kids at their most vulnerable is kind of disturbing, I think, to any parent who at this point might still be oblivious to how bad Facebook is. I don't think anyone who tunes into this show or podcast is shocked, but I do think there are so many people who still don't really have that learning curve down of just what Facebook knows about your kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about Australia, but I can tell Facebook a big piece of information that 14-year-olds aren't on Facebook, by and large. You can find them on your other property, Instagram, which I'm sure they already know.
And that's been mentioned, is that they talk about Instagram noticing trends and when food is posted, for example. That was one example. Like, this is when they express things with a mealtime. They're definitely glad to have Instagram's robots noticing things in these photos as well.
Yeah, Facebook posted, of course, on their newsroom site that their intention was never to help marketers understand or to target ads, but rather just to help marketers understand how people express themselves on Facebook. But I mean, that information, like, it's provided with a reason. Like, there's a reason, there's a purpose behind that. It certainly, at least to some degree, is to inform marketers how best to reach the users of Facebook, and in this case, it includes kids.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's just, this is all another reminder that we are the product. It's just yet another reminder that when you're not paying for it, boy, you sure are valuable to Facebook, and all of our data is valuable to Facebook. It's interesting, today being May 1st, which is International Workers' Day, I do wonder what would happen if everybody on Facebook figured out, now I'm not saying this is possible because this is high-minded, but what if we all figured out a way to not use Facebook for a week? Not in that sort of, that obnoxious Brooklyn hipsters like, I'm quitting Facebook, y'all. But I mean, like, if we all figured out a way to just go, hey guys, we're just going to text and do these other things for a week and just see what that would do, because this is just a reminder that Facebook uses us. Yeah. And okay, well, if that's not bringing value to us, if we all agree on that and can come up with terms as users, that would be, I just think that would be super interesting. And I say that out loud as sort of a pipe dream, and maybe somebody listening or watching can clench onto that and find a path towards us having a stake in this conversation about what Facebook does with us to us.
I agree that Facebook uses us. Apple uses us. They want us to keep buying these things. They want us to be addicted to them. World of Warcraft uses us. They know when, they test those games. They A/B test those games and figure out, which crusades, is that what they're called? When you go, help me out here, Sam. Whatever,
I'm just sitting here thinking about how Nintendo would never use me. No, they would never exploit my nostalgia and get me to buy
Nintendo exploits your nostalgia. Snapchat, I mean, I probably said this on the show before, but it's a small thing, but it really drives me crazy. Snapchat has their streaks, which is like every time you've chatted with someone more than a couple of days in a row, you have a streak, and teenagers love that. They want to keep their streak.
Losing the streak is hard. I've had that happen. It's just
teenagers and older teenagers.
Teenagers at heart.
Teenagers at heart. Yeah, I mean, because and Snapchat is exploiting people and especially teenagers, because that's part of your development. You want to figure out where you are, how important you are to people, who is your tribe, and they're using that to get more daily active users, which, means that people will invest more and they'll be worth more. And so they're all using us.
Well, it's true that they're all using all of these apps. Anything that's free is using us. I would argue that with Apple and some of these other hardware makers, they're kind of using us. They want us hooked into things like iCloud and some of these perpetual services. Amazon certainly uses us. I mean, that is the face of technology, that as our dependence on an internet in which we are not handing cash to other human beings, when financially treat the things we use and do that way, then this abstraction of the things we love being worth something turns into us giving ourselves over to this other economy of us being the product. And it's a fascinating thing. And I think it's interesting. It's nice to have these moments, in my opinion. Nice is a relative way of putting it. To have these moments where we stop and have to reflect, okay, we are the product.
Right.
What is that? Is it that product worth it for us? Maybe we don't go to Amazon and search for every single thing under our profile. Although it's funny, even in the real world, that stuff gets adopted. When you use your frequent buyer card at the grocery store, that's valuable to them too. So it's a whole crazy rabbit hole. But for now, I think this is just a really, really good reminder for any parent who has a kid using an app like this to understand at a certain age point, they don't need consent from parents to gather all the data and potentially use it and link that from on and on. It's just a great conversation starter for kids to say, all right, Facebook may be old and decrepit and a thing you don't care about, but believe you me, if you're not paying per month or per year for what you're using, boy, they're going to remember everything you do.
Well, I also think it's a good reminder for adults as well. Because they didn't make those little 5 special emojis on Facebook so that there was more than just a thumbs up. They did the angry, like, love. They did that so they could tell more about our feelings, more about our emotions, more about our intentions and what we might be compelled to purchase or subscribe to.
Oh, sure. And then their plan is augmented reality through your phone. They want you to hold your phone up everywhere you go and potentially leave notes and secrets and tips. The idea that then they have to map everything. There's a combination of GPS and local data, of photography, and we all do all these services are about selfies and us taking photos of ourselves and giving those to these cloud services. So that's nothing necessarily new, but I do believe this is a connecting the dots of the data we give and the emotions and purposes behind it. And yeah, it's just another day in Facebook world, I suppose, for a lot of people. And there are people who just don't care, either because they would never use Facebook or because they just don't think that their own data is that valuable. But I think the past 5 years of disclosures about major companies and governments and the way they use data, it's all about that metadata. It's all about you being part of that haystack that connects other things. What you do is more meaningful than what you think.
Yeah. And listening and ultimately, in light of this and other things, listening to the voice inside of you as a user to know whether something that a company like Facebook or Google or Apple or whatever, whether they're doing something that makes you feel good or makes you feel not good. And if it makes you feel not good, do something about it. And honestly, like I can tell you from the other side, I have a lot of extra time that I didn't have before I kind of stopped using Facebook back in December. It's been pretty nice. It's not that hard. People get locked in, and that's the hard part. What's that?
Today's the day. Facebook users of the world unite. We're gonna not march in the streets.
The day after May Day is May 2nd. The Don't Use Facebook Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't use things that make you feel bad day. That's what it should be. Sam Scovich. What?
That got dark. That just got dark. I was like, things that don't make me happy. This is ending on a sad note for me now. Thanks, y'all.
I want to empower you, Sam Escovich from Ars Technica. Thanks for coming on and talking about your story today. We really appreciate second day in a row on TNT.
Happy to be here. I'll see you guys probably on Friday.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye, Sam.
Ted wrote in about the soapbox I climbed on last week in regards to the Wired story on the new hackers. It's a long email, but I thought it was a thoughtful one, so I did not edit it. And thank you, Ted, for challenging me. He writes, as an entrepreneur who got his start in the early 1980s, I listened with great interest to your discussion of the Wired article. I agree that we need to be inclusive in stories of this sort so as to provide role models for people from all walks of life. However, I felt that you went afield when you started criticizing the perception that one needs to be obsessive in order to be successful. Worse, I believe there's a damaging counter-mythology that has taken over. It says that you have to lead a balanced life and that it's unhealthy to obsessively dive into a pursuit. In fact, you will find that truly successful people in virtually every field are extremely focused and would almost universally be considered obsessive. When you love something that requires intense skill, whether it be computer programming, science, music, art, or some athletic pursuit, you either throw yourself into it or you will never be more than mediocre. Ask any highly successful entrepreneur, scientist, musician, or artist, and they will tell you that without their intense focus, they wouldn't have achieved what they had in the face of adversity and seemingly overwhelming odds. That's not to say that your entire life has to be spent on one pursuit. I know many successful people who have other ways to unwind, but when it comes down to it, they are married to their primary love. It's usually not until they are successful and usually older with more responsibilities that they can slow down and live more balanced lives. That was wise.
Yeah.
And I might, if you will, climb back up on my soapbox and say I totally agree with you. But your last point about being older is part of what's the problem between gender equality, because men don't give birth to babies and they don't have a time limit to give birth to babies. So sometimes that do it all when you're young and then when you're older, that is, I'm not saying it's what's keeping women from being in tech or anything like that. I'm not saying that. You can email me and say don't say that, but I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying it's an issue that we haven't quite figured out yet. Yeah,
it's certainly a roadblock to a certain degree, or at least, like you say, puts a time limit on it, and there's inherent pressure in that as well. Really good thoughts, Ted. Thank you for sending that in. What seemed like a big Netflix leak might not matter that much at all, according to Wall Street. But first, let's take a minute to thank Tracker. They are the sponsor of this episode. Imagine this scenario. You've cut it super close, workout, shower, sent off a couple of emails for work, you ate your breakfast, you caught 2 seconds of the news. 2 seconds, you can't get very much in 2 seconds. 4 seconds of news, how about that? Laptop in your bag. You have just enough time to make it to work, and then you turn to lock the front door, and you have no idea where your keys are, and that's it. You're going to be late. We've all been there for a number of different reasons. Now with Tracker, you never have to worry about losing your things again. You can track them. The Tracker Bravo is a coin-sized device constructed with anodized aluminum for the thinnest, most durable tracking. Locate misplaced keys, wallets, bags, computers in seconds. You just pair Tracker to your smartphone, attach it to any item, and find its precise location with a tap of a button, and that's all there is to it. If you lose your phone, you can press the button on your Tracker device, or if you happen to have the Amazon Echo, you can ask your Echo, and your phone will ring even if it was left on silent. Your phone can track up to 10 devices at one time, and family sharing allows you to track the same Tracker Bravo from multiple phones, multiple devices. Customized two-way separation alerts so you're notified before you happen to leave the item behind, before it's too late. With over 4.5 million devices shipped, Tracker has the largest crowd GPS network in the world, so your lost item shows up on a map even if it's miles away. The Tracker app records its last known location. When another Tracker user comes within a 100-foot range of your item, you'll receive a GPS update of where your item is located. The distance indicator on the Tracker app will show you if you're getting closer to your items. That's awesome. It's like hot or cold. And with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no reason not to give it a try. So stop losing your stuff today. Make today the day you stop losing your stuff. Go to thetracker.com right now and enter promo code TNT. You'll get a free Tracker Bravo with any order. That's TheTracker.com, promo code TNT for your free Tracker Bravo with any order. And we thank Tracker for their support. TNT's fan of the day is Michael Rosner. He probably wasn't expecting this, but his girlfriend Emily actually submitted for him because today is Michael's birthday. Emily says he watches all Twitch shows. His favorites are TNT, yay, and the new screensavers. Emily snapped these pictures of Michael watching TNT on his device, hands-free, with an adjustable circuit board holder. Those are her words. I'm not really quite sure I recognize these. She says that it came recommended to him from the network. Burke's shaking his head yes.
Yep, I know where they're from.
Oh, yeah? Where?
A little show called Know How.
Ah, yeah. Well, here you go. He watches Know How, too, obviously. Happy birthday, Michael, and thanks to Emily for sending this in. And yes, we are breaking the How I Watch chain from last week. We'll fire that back up again tomorrow because, wow, you guys are seriously coming through on this one. We're getting like 3, 4, 5 of these every day. On one hand, I'm super stoked because we're getting so many of them. On the other hand, like we're going to have to like put them all into one episode so it doesn't like stretch things out. But it's super cool you guys are doing that. So we'll keep that up starting tomorrow. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT and we'll find it.
Over the weekend, a hacker group calling themselves the Dark Overlord uploaded several episodes of the upcoming Netflix show Orange is the New Black, the upcoming season of Orange is the New Black, after Netflix refused to pay an undisclosed amount of ransom money. The show doesn't air for a few months, but the Dark Overlord's actions seemed, by all accounts, to be a total failure. Today, Variety reports that Netflix stock is up to new highs of $157.38 despite hackers threatening further action. The show was released on Pirate Bay, not all of the episodes. I doubt this will make anyone cancel their Netflix subscription. I know Leo, it inspired him to pay more for Netflix than he needed to pay. So
what do you mean? I missed what
he just said that like he upgraded to the 4K version, even though there's not a lot that he can watch on 4K because he was
I see.
He was just like, this is so not going to make anyone, for anyone who might be stupid enough to cancel their subscription because they can get 5 episodes of Orange is the New Black. He's like, I'm going to pay more just for that. So I think, not that I want to give tips to hackers or anything, but they probably would have made more money just selling Netflix passwords, which
different business entirely.
Yeah, I don't support it. Don't do it. But
I don't think. I don't know. Like, obviously, it doesn't matter. Businesses want to protect their IP, and I completely get it. Netflix has a subscription model. It's not that expensive, really. And I think this is just we live in a different world in technology content online than even 5 years ago. Back in, 2011, Sandvine said that BitTorrent accounted for 23% of daily internet traffic in the U.S. That was 2011. 2016, it's around 5%. Huge drop. So when you think about just the user base, the amount of people that are probably pirating, there will always be a certain level of amount of people that are pirating. But I think the reason to pirate is much less now because we have subscription services that are actually priced very reasonably considering what you get. Netflix has a ton of really great exclusive content that they're putting out constantly. I feel like every week I fire up Netflix and there's a new handful of series that they just published. I'm like, oh, that looks good. That looks good. So you get a lot for your money. So 10 episodes of Orange is the New Black, even with a threat of more stuff potentially if they don't follow through, I don't think that's going to sway anybody from like canceling their subscription because now they can suddenly get all Netflix stuff for free online. There's a lot of other hurdles that come along with that too, and I just don't think it outweighs the low cost of the service of this and other services. I don't mean to talk up just Netflix, but I think subscription in general. Yeah,
I think that it's just a misunderstanding of humans in general. I mean, like it's so the people that figured out, I mean, this has been going on for all time, but like that you could blackmail someone because, you could hack into like a place like Ashley Madison, and then you could really like have something there because that's someone's shame, and they don't want that revealed, like that sort of thing, or any kind of hacking that you do. But like people who want to see Orange is the New Black so badly, like before anyone else, like they love the show, and so yes, they're going to pirate it, but they're probably going to, many of them are still going to continue to support Netflix. I mean, they've just figured that out. They're not, I mean, and the show is often people will pirate it. Lots of people do use their parents' Netflix password, use their old boyfriends. Like I said, there's like you can buy Netflix passwords on the dark web. I don't recommend it, but you can. Like there's a brimming industry with that, but that's not bringing Netflix down, and neither is the dark overlord. There are bigger questions. There are bigger questions about this, kind of the way that content is right now, streaming content. There's a great interview that Kara Swisher does on a Recode Decode podcast with one of the stars of Silicon Valley, Matt Ross, who plays Gavin Belson. And he talks about how creators on Amazon specifically are really being paid a lot right now, like overpaid. And that could be a bubble. Like that could not be around forever. And then what happens to those? What happens to those creators? Because there really is, like, there's so many stories. We talk about, there's so much great TV I want to watch. That means there's so many storytellers and so many actors and people really working hard, because there's a lot of money being thrown at it. Like by all of the paper towels that we buy on Amazon, that money is going to pay someone like Jill Soloway, who, did the, I can't think of the main show that she did that was so great. But yeah, I think I worry about, I worry about what would happen at that point.
Jill Soloway. I don't know. I came up empty.
It was like Amazon's breakout hit TV show that was on
Transparent.
Transparent.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. I had to go a little bit further down on the Google page because I think
well, she's done a lot, but that was the big, like, that's her big thing that she's done that I think really put Amazon streaming on the map,
right?
In general. So,
and I mean, even in comparison, Amazon streaming is kind of, I don't know, plays second fiddle to Netflix exclusive content in that regard. But
Netflix is Netflix. It's like a really popular subscriber model, whereas Amazon is just this weird thing. Like they're
like tie-in.
Yeah, music and paper towels and computers, and also Transparent.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I don't think anyone's subscribing to Netflix just for Orange is the New Black. I got bored of Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I don't watch it either. Yeah. But I don't subscribe for only one thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole lot more than just one thing. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC at twit.tv/live. Be part of the show, like we said earlier, by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. Leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW, and find us on Twitter at TechNewsTodayTV.
I've already told you to subscribe to the show, but I'm going to tell you again.
Subscribe
to the show. Do it. If you just watch live on YouTube, still subscribe, because you never know when you're going to miss an episode and you're going to need to have it. Also, visit us at our subreddit. That's technewstoday.reddit.com. You can see some of the stories that we're going to talk about, or submit your own stories. You can also find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. Find me on Twitter. I am at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director and today's featured editor, Brian Burnett. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks to Burke for helping out in the studio and occasionally scribbling words on a piece of paper and giving thumbs up and eating and showing us this little piece of paper that says Burke Chat is the new black.
Can we get it on Pirate Bay?
Yes. Let's not pirate that, all right? Let's give Burke his chance. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.